This is Chapter 2, Motor Development, Part 2. We ended with the advanced level, the beginner level, intermediate level, and advanced level. Now we're ready to learn motor learning concepts. The stages of performance and stage of motor development will influence how you teach. I said that earlier. To teach or to achieve proficiency in motor skills, you must be an effective instructor. When too many things are present or presented to a student, their environment performance may be poor. So a small child trying to learn too many things is going to get frustrated and it's really not going to learn much of anything. Poor performance may be demonstrated through a slow response to do a movement, poor quality of movement, or total disregard for an activity. A child that is overly excited may also demonstrate poor performance as they are distracted by too many things in their learning environment. Examples: creating a learning environment that's too unpredictable, out of order, using the whole skill versus part of the skill, asking the performer to perform a skill that is too complex. Positive transfer occurs more readily when the movement educator draws attention to similarities in the present skill with previously learned skills. Previously learned skills may create the mental image to familiarize the learner with the new skill. Positive transfer assists in learning the use in a different situation. Verbal cues may simplify the instructions and create an image of a concept that is to be learned, and you will learn more about verbal cues when you start actually teaching your assignments. Concept of skill demonstration. A correct demonstration gives children the best visual picture. If a skilled performer is not available, children may also benefit from an unskilled performer doing the demonstration as long as they can hear and understand the feedback given to the performer. A demonstration provides a visual image. They can see it from different angles, front, back, sideways. Concept of task progression. You have closed motor skills, open motor skills. This is the content of or the context of the environment in which the performer does the skill. An example of an open motor skill would be a jump shot. An example of a closed motor skill would be hitting a ball off of a tee that you may find in T-ball. Closed motor skills. An environment or the object does not change while the child performs a skill. An example is when a child walks through a classroom where there's tables and chairs remain stationary, but no children are walking around. An example of an object remaining stationary is asking a child to hit a ball off the tee or a hockey puck that is still. Large, lightweight balls and closed motor skills are appropriate for beginning level performers. Open motor skills is when the environment is unstable. An example would be watching children dribble a ball around the playground during a small-sided game. Also watching kids scramble around the classroom trying to get ready for the door at recess. An example of a batting progression. Number 1, hitting off a batting tee. That would be the first progression. That is a definition of a closed motor skill. Change the height of the batting tee, but keep the ball stationary from one practice to another. That is still a closed motor skill. Next, suspend a ball from a string to a basketball hoop that the ball is in motion. That's kind of middle way. It's moving more toward an open motor skill. Then the last one, the batter hits the pitched ball. A change in space requirement will change the task difficulty. Obstacles and defender predictability will change task difficulty. Inexperienced children have greater success when the context remains stable. Use small, deliberate progressions that modify the context to place the object in motion. Prompting a child through questions about motor performance will help children to begin to develop their own feedback capabilities. Feedback is focused on one cue at a time will help children focus on their efforts. Cue words or verbal cues will describe the critical elements of motor skills. Give feedback. Feedback. That's how they learn. Eventually, they will give themselves the feedback that's necessary. Appropriate progression. Children at the beginning stage of the performance needs maximum opportunities for independent practice. That's why it's very difficult for a young child to play in a team sport because of the complexity of the rules. It's also important to schedule ample opportunities to practice the whole skill or skill in various parts. Whole skill. A fundamental skill such as running cannot be broken into parts, and it is a skill that is low in complexity. So when a skill is low difficulty or is not so difficult, the teaching the whole skill is beneficial. Whole skill gives a beginner a better sense of the coordination of the skill. More advanced learners may do well in whole practice as they are able to remember longer sequences. Skills that require both arms to do different things are considered to be complex. Skills such as serving a balloon off a paddle, juggling, dropping a ball to the floor, use a forehand striking motion with the racket will do better if practiced in parts. When a skill is fairly difficult, children may benefit from practicing parts of that skill. Part practice reduces the thinking part of the child so they will not be as overwhelmed. So you have teaching progression, you have the individual exploration, then the partner, small-sided group activity, and then large group. Exploratory styles encourage children to problem solve and create movement. If a teacher directed styles are used, children should have their own equipment to practice the skills. Appropriate practices, children should have ample opportunity. They should have their own equipment. Partner progression. Once children have practiced on their own, then you can introduce a partner. Partner challenges should be planned only after children have mastered in a stable environment and they're ready for a more dynamic instruction. So how many partners? Gameplay often limits the involvement of lower skilled children. Small-sided games may be organized with children of similar skill ability to practice together. The progression through individual partner small groups should maintain successful practice for children throughout the stages of learning. Small-sided games included in the challenges, frequent opportunities to play the active game and a better acquisition of skills. Avoid regulation games which limit opportunities for practice and success. Appropriate opportunities. Children are not many adults. They should not be expected to specialize in sports, even though that's happening at a younger and younger age. Hopefully, through reading this chapter, you will understand the reason why children play an organized sport under the age of 7 may not be the best way to teach skill acquisition. Practice a wide variety of skills is recommended. Some inappropriate activities are in the Hall of Shame. These are some of the elements of the Hall of Shame. Absence of educational learning objectives. You must go into each activity with objectives. Potential embarrassment of children. Children do get embarrassed. trying to avoid this. It will benefit the child in the long run, even though they do struggle. Elimination of children from activity. You're out. You're not picked. Those type of things. Overemphasis on fun rather than learning. Lack of emphasis on skill acquisition. Low participation time. Likelihood of danger or risk of injury. We're understanding now that even our younger kids are getting head injuries with some sports. Summary: children are not mini adults, and therefore the movement educator must take into consideration the development or the readiness of the individual. Ask future educators to consider activities that meet the elements. How do activities brought out in discussion meet the criteria, and what activities would be more appropriate to meet a desired objective? It is important for all children to be involved in daily successful movement experiences. Task progression should be created to help children have skill acquisition. This is the end of chapter 2.